there?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Is it her St. Patrick's Day sweater or is it her 4-H sweater?
It's a
It
really good
could
question.
be both, which is why I purchased it.
I love it.
Good call out. Good call out, Kendra Joe.
Love that, Kendra
Multi-use.
Joe. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
No problem.
Excellent. Well,
Lifelong
I
4-H'er here. I have zero claim to Irish heritage, being like half British, half French Canadian. So I just supporting and being a pot of gold today,
there you
as
go.
sparkly as
Like it.
possible.
Great. So I think we are live. So we should probably go ahead and dive in. Welcome everyone to the March 17th with a happy St. Patty's Day to those of you who celebrate Digital Opportunity Committee meeting. Welcome to everyone, and thank you for joining us. As usual, we'll kick things off with introductions. My name is Danielle Lauder, and I serve as chair of the Digital Opportunity Committee, as well as representing telehealth, and coming to you from windy but sunny Cornville. And I will pass it over to Hannah.
Thank you, Danielle. Happy St. Patty's Day. It's nice to be on today. I'm Hannah Carter, Deputy Provost and Dean of Cooperative Extension, sitting here in Orono, Maine, representing education. And I will pass it over to Kendra Joe.
Thanks, Hannah. I'm Kendra Jo Grindle. I'm the Chief Program Officer for the Maine Connectivity Authority, and I will hand it to Laura.
Great, thank you. Hi, everyone. Laura Vanderlucht. I'm the Chief Engagement Officer for MCA, and I am reporting in from Hollowell. And I'll go to Erin, I think.
Hi, I am Erin Benton. I am the Senior Manager of Compliance and Reporting here at MCA, and I'm in Buxton. I'll
And
pass it to Andrew.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, Andrew Butcher. I serve as president for MCA.
Excellent. And as always, please, for those who are joining us from the public, we would love to see your names in the chat. Welcome, welcome. We thank you for being here with us today. So with that, we do have only about 50 minutes left, and we have a number of agenda items. So I'm excited to be hearing some strategy and program updates from Kendra Jo and Laura. Oh, no, I back it up. We first need to approve the minutes from the previous December 16. It's been a minute since we met. That's why I forgot. That's my excuse. So if I could, yep, it looks like Hannah has a motion to approve those December 16 minutes. I will second that. There's only two of us here, so I'm assuming all in favor?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
no one else to oppose. So with that, the motion passes and those minutes are approved. Thank you very much. Now we can move over to Kendra Jo and Laura for some exciting updates on our digital opportunity portfolio. Right, I will get us going with some updates around connectivity hubs. I did link, but I'll share my screen as well. Bear with me for a moment. We have been having, so as you all know, just double check that you're seeing what I'm seeing. Yes, you are. So as you all know, 2026 for connectivity hubs is a very high milestone heavy year. A lot of projects, well, all of our projects will be coming to completion, but all of our projects are in motion at various stages of construction, verification, validation. And with that in mind, our team met at the beginning of the year to really talk through what those milestones were going to look like and how we could just ensure that we were keeping track beyond our monthly check-ins and ability to chat anytime with these sites and subrecipients, but really track when there could be upcoming barriers, upcoming milestones. So over this first quarter and really into next month as well, our team is doing contract walkouts and site visits with each of the current open projects. So this doesn't include those that have closed, like St. George, or those that are no longer open projects like the Bridgeton Library project we discussed previously. But It's really been helpful. So I wanted to share a couple of photos from the 2 that we've done to date. And you'll see these more as we go on throughout the year, but it's given us a really great opportunity to see things in progress. Our technical advisor, Chris Waite, who does verification and validation for connectivity hubs, also attends these walkouts. And so usually if the general contractor is there, he's able to ask some more technical questions around the status of the project and just elevate up ongoings from a construction standpoint as well. And for our digital opportunity program, that's definitely a new aspect for digital opportunity funding to actually invest in brick and mortar infrastructure. So with that, so this first one is the YWCA, and this project is almost complete. They have HVAC, sprinkler work to finish, but it's really nearing the finish line for them. Among the work that they have done is setting up the computer stations in 2 different areas. One of these that we were really excited about is that the area on the right side of the screen, it caters specifically towards parents and caretakers for those that are having occupational therapy or are in swimming lessons. So it overlooks the pool, so they can be present in monitoring the person that they're caretaking for or their child, while also still engaging in their workday or in any additional things they need to do online. The other long corridor is really geared towards, and will continue to be geared towards, where teens can do their homework after school. And it's just been some really great added benefits to this space that's very much a community hub for so many, and it offers a wide scale across all of not only the connectivity hubs programming like workforce, telehealth, and education, but also these added bonuses of gathering space, a space for physical activity and wellness as well in the community. And then the other one that was really exciting, and my apologies, I'm not the person who's usually talking about this. Jessica is on vacation this week, so I'm stepping in, but her face is here because she was also at the site visit for Seniors Plus. We've talked about this project in particular in the past when their groundbreaking took place and the large scale turnout that came together around this project. So it's been great to see through their contract walkout and site visit that progress from groundbreaking to now. This is a multi-million-dollar project. We funded $900,000, and they continue to fundraise through the spring to get to that finish line. But it's well underway. During the site tour, Jessica and Chris, and you can see Chris kind of here in the foreground, they got to see where the computer lab will be, where the 2 telehealth rooms will be built off a private hallway. And that's really to ensure not only privacy but sound. The rooms themselves will have sound insulation, but given that it's a private hallway, there will be less activity and flow to just ensure that additional layer of privacy. And there will be enough room for caretakers to join calls as necessary. They also have 2 additional meeting spaces and an educational center that can be subdivided out to be into smaller rooms. So they'll have lots of space for programming, especially as these projects continue to transition towards build completion to that program implementation stage of the Connectivity Hubs program. So I just wanted to give you all a snapshot of what we're seeing when our team is going out in space and visiting with our partners. Other projects, Aroostook Hope Association, Aroostook Area on Aging, Hope Association, Stonington, are currently on track for the milestones that are laid out to get them to closure for this year. And see, I wanted to provide another point of awareness around connectivity hubs. As you all know, we did seek previously an accommodation for our ability to approve amendments at a Nope, that's not true. Sorry. We have discussed previously the ability to shift the amendment approval pathway for the connectivity hubs to alleviate some of the barriers to moving funding forward to our projects. We were hoping to have it ready for today. Unfortunately, we weren't able to. We finally got some good input and feedback from U.S. Treasury and our federal program officer. So our internal staff grants committee is next week on the 25th. And so we are going to follow up with both of you as well as Commissioner Duguay on a request for approval via email. So we were hoping to land it for today. We apologize for not being able to, but we'll make sure you have all of the information you need, but wanted to give you a heads up since we're together today. That's it for kind of the big key pieces of the digital opportunity portfolio right now. We'll have some more updates at our next conversation around a final report for the regional Wabanaki broadband partners, as well as status checks for Tech Help for Me and Maine Tech Share. If you have any questions about those projects, feel free.
No, it's great to see more of these projects really coming close to fruition, and then the others that are on track for completion. That's great. And thanks for the heads up around the amendment. We'll definitely keep our eyes peeled for that to come through so we can really turn it around quickly or ask questions quickly if we have any of them.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I am going to hand it over to Laura and Andrew on Press Forward and the Digital Opportunity Platform.
Great. Andrew, I know we're navigating whether or not we're tagging in Carlos at this point. So just wanted to kick that over to you, see what our status is.
Great. So couple good updates here. As it pertains to, I think, a live opportunity that's taken shape around the Digital Opportunity Fund. It is live, so important to emphasize the disclaimer, nothing is nothing until it's something. But it is via via an emerging partnership with Press Forward, which both Carlos Barrionuevo and I are on the advisory committee for. And so a choice for you all is Press Forward is a national initiative with a main chapter dedicated to improve the resources and infrastructure for a healthy local media. This is a big part of Carlos's day job, and he is available to tag in if a deeper dive and discussion on what Press Forward is and both nationally and in Maine would be useful for discussion today. And so I can text him and have him tag in for discussion and give a little bit of an overview of what we have reflected here to the Maine Community Foundation and Press Forward in alignment of shared interests. So I didn't want to pull Carlos both as a guest and board member into committee discussion, but also wanted to make him available if that would be useful for us.
Yeah, I don't know, Hannah, if you can, but I actually can't access that document that's attached. So if we could get access to that, if Carlos is open to it and is available, we do have plenty of time, it looks like, on the agenda. I don't know how much we need for the MVP, minimum viable platform discussion, but if we feel like he's available and has 7.5 minutes or whatever we want to commit to it, it would be super helpful for me anyway to have a bit of background. I thought that I didn't know Press Forward was like an entity. I thought it was like language that we were using. So yeah, I think it would be really interesting to learn more.
And are we having to make a decision, or is this?
This is a no decision. It's really an update and orientation since
Okay.
it's actually taken shape rather quickly. And so just gave Carlos a heads up. He should feel free to join. I also gave each of you access. So my
Green.
apologies for that. And what this is the top part is a high level framing that Press Forward has provided. The bottom part is what we have reflected as a potential partnership opportunity for a investment in the Digital Opportunity Fund. And so Carlos will let him sort of give some more of the context as he, wow, that was impressive.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Um, I'll cue you up, Carlos, and welcome. We are just talking about the press forward concept for the Opportunity Fund. I think context that you can provide regarding what press forward is nationally and locally will be useful. I will say, as a local chapter embedded in the main community foundation, the concept here reflects a opportunity that they've requested for some targeted activities in support of the Digital Opportunity Fund, in particular, the items identified: main tech share, tech help for me, and some targeted technical assistance. I'll come back to that in a minute, but as a sort of a new thread of partnership and a potential investment in the Opportunity Fund, felt like a learning moment would be useful. And Carlos, all the better that you're available to share a little bit more about Press Forward.
Sure. Let me try to keep it brief. I can talk about this for quite a while. So, Press Forward, the national sort of movement, was born out of the conversation around the rise of local news deserts. It was an effort by philanthropy, many of the funders who had been funding initiatives around local news for some time in some cases, and then others who had not, to create a pooled fund that was to significant enough to start to address the problem. So there's a press forward sort of national, which is MacArthur and the Knight Media Foundation, Ford and others, that has pooled their resources to create this overall fund, which has its own staff. What their idea is to allocate money to both projects on a national level and recognizing that local news is local, is to also support the creation of press forward local chapters. And local chapters can be a city, they can be a region like Appalachia, and they can be a state. So there's many different flavors of that, of press forward local. And in each case, they look for a foundation, a local foundation, usually many times a community foundation, to be basically the organizer and sponsor of the Press Forward Local. The idea in the Press Forward Local is to better understand the local news ecosystem and to, on their own, create their own strategies for how they want to address the state or region or city or whatever that area is, to support the local news ecosystem, to grow it, depending on what's happened in that system, to grow it back or to sustain it, or, it really depends. This is all part of this sort of conversation that's been going on about, like I said, local news deserts. In Maine, some of you've heard this maybe too many times, Maine is a kind of a little bit of as it is in many things, is a very special place in terms of the local news ecosystem. There is a really interesting combination of major nonprofits, family-owned institutions and startups, and very much a lack of sort of the national players who are screwing things up in the market. So what you have is just, thinking about how the locals relate to the national. The locals are building upon the experiences and networking in with other press forward local chapters, as well as the overall conversation around local news deserts. But Press Forward Maine has its own writ to create its own strategy for how to address Maine's own unique ecosystem. So like I said, I can keep talking, but that's a context. And so in that context, as I hope Andrew already said, I'm also one of the charter advisory board people. And as you know, my background and continuing work is in local news and in a lot of this work. And I have for some time to some of the folks there that are now on that board been talking about the linkages between local, not only local news, but civic engagement, healthy civic life, which is part of this, and the absolute necessity for digital equity, for the ability for people to understand and feel safe, to be able to come online, to be able to participate in what is increasingly a digital future for news and basically anything to do with news and information. And so it's maybe perhaps not a surprise that local, certainly the conversation has also embraced the concept of how digital equity also relates to the news ecosystem within Maine. So that's the really short description. And I am happy to expound, but we don't want to take the whole time on this. So
No, that's super helpful. Hannah, do you have specific questions or?
I don't. That was extremely helpful as far as an overview, and I look forward to kind of reading the document when we're off the meeting, but appreciate you jumping on and sharing this with us.
yeah, I yes, I'm always happy to talk about this. So there's a lot of good work to be done here, and a lot of linkages, which I'm very interested in continuing to pursue. So, yep.
Well, and the one, Carlos, I will just add that I've been really grateful for the opportunity to participate in this advisory committee, but also especially grateful for your presence on it as well, because I'm relatively new to the news ecosystem and local media set of issues. And everything that they're talking about, I'm sort of like, well, this is an issue that we've been confronting through a digital equity lens, and
Yeah.
this is reflected in the digital equity strategy. And we have a bunch of data reflecting the challenges in addressing populations in news deserts. And so, you don't want to be that person in the meeting who's like, "Oh,
Well,
we're doing that." And so, it's been really helpful, Carlos, to have your bridging along those lines, so that as Press Forward has identified and some pathways for prioritization, we've been able to sort of provide them a menu of options in a pretty quick turnaround.
yeah. Well, I mean, again, I've been in both discussions for the last, as long as I've been involved in broadband, and I've been in media for 30 years. I mean, the thing here is they're both coming at the same problems. And I think you and I have talked about policy as well as a potential, area of collaboration, because there's the same issues continue to. What we're trying to avoid is disenfranchisement of people, and on the, as local media is, under attack, a threat on its economics. And as we try to find new models also, and as the platforms are changing and the delivery is changing, it really continues to point toward the same issue of like, to not have people familiar and engaged and using the tools online will mean that they are being disenfranchised from local information, national information, et cetera. And so the focus here with this is local information. And our ecosystem is a wonderful bunch of partners, both of, like I said, nonprofits, volunteers, just a really great mix. And there are a lot of, honestly, some of the same players that have been in the periphery of some of our digital equity conversations and in the same areas and same challenges. I mean, looking at what Bangor is doing with, supporting the Northern Coalition. So there's a lot of connections here. And I think it's what I've hoped, and as we're working on is that, Press Forward Local understands that there's understanding there, and that the connections can be made where appropriate, because I think they really do work together. So anyway, but So there we go.
Carlos, just a quick question about affordability, and I totally understand some of the challenges in the media space, and it seems more and more it's a, you know, this information is behind a paywall. Even if you do have devices and connectivity, you have to pay to play or pay to get the information. I'm assuming maybe Press Forward addresses or is looking to address some of that type of thing as well.
Well, I mean, the whole it's not, again, these are really similar. I mean, the economic models for local news are very, very tough. I can spend a half hour going through the history there, and I won't. Where we are right now is, yes, there is all over the country. There's a variety of different things going on. There's paywalls, there's direct public support in the same way that you see public media being supported. There is increasingly some state support. There's a lot of different models, so you have to come at it different ways. The question is whether or not local news is something that the local communities will be willing to support. And if they're able to support at some level, what are the other sort of economics they can go in? So it is not great that in many cases newspapers have become basically a premium product, especially the print product. That is not a wonderful thing. But being free doesn't necessarily also mean reaching everyone, as I continue to say as I talk about the trends in TV broadcasts. So yeah, those are all, I mean, and nonprofit doesn't mean not having a business model. So that's where it's like, how do you balance all these different revenue sources out? I can tell you examples of people who've dropped the paywall and examples of people using the paywall across the country. But it is not helpful if no one can afford access, which should sound familiar to this group.
Right.
And so there's a lot of these problems are very similar, even if the business models economics are different. So,
No, thank you. Super helpful.
yep.
Appreciate that you have 30 years of background in this space.
Yes, that's why I guess I have gray. So anyway.
So, well, Carlos, thank you for joining here. I'll walk through real quick kind of what is where we're at in the status of this concept and how it relates to the Opportunity Fund. I appreciate you being available prior to the Infrastructure Committee meeting. So
Yep.
the so yeah, Carlos, I would say we'll leave it to you all as far as Carlos, if you want to stick around, or Hannah and Danielle, if we're in good shape on chatting with Carlos on this.
Yeah, totally up to you, Carlos. If you could use 30 minutes back your
I
day,
I can use the 30 minutes, but I wanted to provide some insight there and also make sure folks knew that I was a resource around this conversation. So I would hate for that not to be understood. So, yep. I'll take my half hour back and I'll let you guys keep going, and I'll be back at 3. So,
Thank you.
all right.
So I appreciate it. I want to also, as I've been thinking about the timeline here, we had our first advisory committee meeting, I want to say in November, and then a follow-on in December. In January, I was asked for some preliminary ideas, and then in February was asked to turn around with a little bit more of some concept that is reflected here. This is a distillation of that is going before the advisory committee this week. There's a lot of questions that I have as far as next steps and timeline, but as a live opportunity for the Opportunity Fund that also corresponds with the larger request that is in front of a main community foundation donor at the moment for the Digital Opportunity Fund. As new funding sources become available at a larger scale for the Opportunity Fund, figured this was as good a time and place and manner as any to make sure everyone's up to speed on what those opportunities are, especially given the linkage and relevance to Carlos's involvement from a board standpoint. So, we will be waiting to hear feedback. We will then be shifting into probably a more accelerated program design for how it's framed here, with special implications for main tech share and tech help for me, which are sort of at a important inflection point of growth and evolution programmatically already, as well as some targeted assistance for internet training and internet safety that reflects what we've heard feedback from regional and Wabanaki partners. So happy to talk through more, but also know there's other items. And so I'm hopeful that you are feeling as up to speed as possible on real-time developments.
I think we're good. Thank you.
Yep. Cool. Well, Laura, happy to hand back to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Yeah. And appreciate you all being able to jump in for that content. It's exciting. So makes sense to transition into talking about our development of the relaunch of the MVP, or minimum viable platform product, but in this case platform for the Digital Opportunity Fund. As you will remember, in 2025, there was a lot of work done internally about how MCA's operations, meaning everything from communications to messaging to branding of what the Digital Opportunity Fund is, to then, our ability and sort of statutorily, as well as from an IRS perspective, to solicit and then receive funds and be able to offer tax deductible status to anyone who makes a gift to us. How do we then determine eligible programs, right? You can go down the line of all of those different pieces that we need to have in place internally in order to be able to accomplish this role and this platform. So the great news is our engagement team, which includes our great communications, as well as Kendra Joe's team with programs and grants and compliance, and our finance team have been working diligently to take what was that 2025 thinking, put it through the filter of 2026 priorities and values for digital opportunity, given everything that has changed in our funding landscape, given just where we are in 2026, which is different than 2025 in a lot of ways in the world. And moving forward. And so what we came to understand is that in 2025, we got to the place of doing a lot of great conceptual thinking, but never really got to the place of heading play, of operationalizing what it actually is to have this platform and to make it function. So all of that, just a little bit of background to say that we are about, I would say, 75% of the way ready to share both a set of operational procedures internally for how the platform will operate, as well as a policy for the Digital Opportunity Fund platform internally for the board to review. And we will have those for the full board meeting on March 27th. In the meantime, wanted to give an update which you see the implementation milestones table in the agenda, to really demonstrate the progress that we're making toward hitting this sort of fourfold MVP outcome. So what will we have by launch on April 14th? And that is, we're going to have that clear pathway for philanthropic contributions, operate under an approved governance and operational framework, all that important work that we're doing right now, communicate our value proposition clearly to funders and partners, and demonstrate our ability to steward this philanthropic investment within the greater digital opportunity structure. And so today, giving you all this update that we are having this draft, we decided to hold it back because we wanted to do a few more things internally before we shared it with you all, and just wanted to give you the status update. So just again, some updates on decisions that have been made since the last time we talked. We have decided internally and with our communications vendor Fluent that we don't have a need for updated branding. The Digital Opportunity Fund visual brand is really strong, was developed last year, and we're all still really happy with it. So no need for update there. But we do have 4 places that we're focusing right now in where we do need updates for April 14th. So we need to actually have a platform website then that can accept donations. We have a website right now that explains what the Digital Opportunity Fund is, but does not have that additional capacity to be able to serve as that kind of connected giving platform. And so we're also really focused on making sure that it delivers clearly on being parsimonious in its communication. So elegant in its simplicity, right? We want to make sure that it has a really modern feel to it, and that when anyone who comes to that website says, like, kind of at a glance, oh, I get it, right? And I see how I could have a role in having an impact here. And so we're working on that again with Fluent. They actually just gave us, I saw in my email right before I came here, a new, a whole deck for us to review tomorrow at our call about the messaging, framing, and approach to our digital opportunity campaign. So that was exciting right before I came here. Our high level messaging, again, that's that same work with Fluent, and Jenna Ingram on our team is doing a great job coordinating that. Last 2 things, the donor agreement. That's working with council and the finance team to make sure that we have all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed from a legal and financial operations perspective, and then a donor acceptance plan so that we can make sure that all of our programs and partners, anyone who will be receiving funds from the Digital Opportunity Fund, also understands expectations, as well as how we're going to build measurement into implementation. The big goal of the Digital Opportunity Fund is to be able to understand aggregate impact in this role that MCA is providing as steward in this space. And so we want to make sure that not only are we able to track the funding, which is crucially important in that stewardship role, but also how do we know the impact that this funding is having in the different goals and different outcome areas we're interested in. And so that's just as important for us to be focusing on. And so pretty much what I just said in number 3 there. And so lastly, the deliverables that we'll have for the full board meeting in just a few weeks. We will have to review and approve the platform visual and messaging content for everyone. We will also have that policy and operational procedures for internally that we will be using. And the question that we have for this committee is whether or not you would like to review those 2 sets of information prior to the 27th.
Can I jump in here, Danielle?
Hop in, please.
I know I guess my answer is yes, just because we are the Digital Opportunity Committee.
Yeah.
And this is the Digital Opportunity Fund, and I have a feeling some board member may ask, well, has the Digital Opportunity Committee had a chance to review this? So
Yes, absolutely. That's why that it occurred to us that would most likely be your response. So wanted to talk about what that timeline could look like for us. Today's the 17th, the 27th is next Friday. But like I said, we're very close. This isn't something that is an onerous ask for us to be able to get something in front of you. So
Yeah, I was just gonna, I would definitely agree. Yes. It'd be great
yeah,
if we could get our eyes on it ahead of the full board meeting. Logistically, what works best for you all, knowing that like you're kind of you're gonna be looking at the deck. I think you said tomorrow, the latest. But yeah, and maybe a
yeah,
line, right? I'm assuming would be logistically most
sure.
feasible with schedules and all of that.
Andrew has his hand up maybe before I respond.
I was just gonna maybe clarify, Laura, are you, I mean, are we thinking review and feedback of the SOP and issues identified, or meeting? Because I mean, I think it is possible for that review and feedback to happen independent of a meeting.
Yes, sorry, to be clear, I was suggesting it be more of an asynchronous review in lieu of an adding another meeting. Thank you. And what I can offer is if we can get those materials to you all by the end of the day this Friday, which is the 20th. And then if you had sort of maybe till the end of the day Wednesday to do your reviews on the 25th, we could probably turn that around. And I can put that in an email, obviously. Does that sound like a reasonable timeline?
Yep, I think so.
Okay, perfect. Well, we're really excited. I think there's been a lot of great progress already. And really just all my kudos to all of our teams who have, taken a really good, I think, critical lens to what was all the great work we did before, where are we now, how do we move forward, and not let sort of the perfect be the enemy of the great. And so moving forward in this space feels really great right now. And I will say the other thing that I have my eye on from a strategic point of view is obviously we need to keep the team right now focused on getting to April 14th. Right now I'm looking past April 14th and thinking about, well, what does it look like, in order to have this thing out in the world, and how is it tied to our strategic engagement process, and how are we making sure that the Digital Opportunity Fund is part of our messaging and part of our positioning as we're moving forward into the next couple of months when we have a really robust schedule of events planned. So excited to be putting it in play, which is phenomenal. All right, back to you, I think, Kendra Jo, unless Hannah or Danielle, you have additional questions for me. Great, thank you.
Okay, that is the last item on our agenda before close. But if there are any further questions or additions to the conversation before we get to 3.
Are we efficient or what?
Andrew, I could see it. I could see it on your face.
I'm the worst. I'm the worst. We were so close, but we may still very well be ending early. One thing I just wanted to, since we've got a minute, to get your collective feedback on is we have a joint board meeting taking shape with the Connect Main board on May 4th. And as you may recall, one of the key reasons for that joint meeting is to kick off and or inform some of our strategic planning and engagement process, which is now required by statute, thanks to LD 1975, to be reflected in a updated set of recommendations to the legislature in January 27. Also including a sort of formal agency consolidation plan. So the joint board meeting is, we think, going to be one of the key inputs from the board for that planning process. And so we are amidst putting together the agenda and approach for that meeting. And the executive committee, we've discussed how, as we expand program evaluation around things like wireless and cellular, that's a bit of a different ballgame and is a opportunity for some learning from a board standpoint around key issues and considerations as we expand some of our work. So I wanted to just take a minute since we have it. What feels like the types of priorities or issues that we would want to drill into from a digital opportunity standpoint? And you don't have to answer that this moment, and I will follow up. But since it is not tomorrow or next week, which is a gift, but it is coming up quick, and we're going to be looking to try to get the plan for that agenda together over the course, certainly by the end of the month, for some feedback so that we can then, plan for a multi-hour joint board meeting to be as efficient and effective as possible. So, again, things like as telehealth hubs expand and as we look to complement state apparatus and implementation of programming that can link to and or leverage connectivity hub modeling. Is there a need and benefit for learning along those lines from a subject matter standpoint? So we expand partnerships around things like Press Forward. So welcome your reflection and feedback, and we'll outline as much in email, but just wanted to put it on the radar. I didn't even burn 5 minutes.
You did it. No, I definitely think it's smart for us to start thinking about it. Do we have a skeleton of what that agenda is shaping up to look like, just so we could kind of maybe see where things might intersect or
Yep. No, we don't yet.
Okay.
And the that is literally getting started, I want to say this week and next. And so I know it is always hard to start, but I just recognizing we have a meeting today, saw that there's a little bit of time. We're talking about a couple new things at once.
Yeah, well, and
Um,
that's I think that what are the strategically, what are the intersections so that we're leveraging, all of the funds as productively, efficiently as possible. So I think that's always a good strategy to have. We're not duplicating efforts. Um, what are the opportunities to connect the various partners? Yeah, and I think there's a lot of folks who are involved, but maybe could be more synergistic um, with the opportunities. Yeah.
This might be the stupidest question of the day. Are we trying to do this in person or will it be by Zoom?
is not a stupid question. We just had a brief conversation with Quinn has already brought this up with Sarah Scola. We were just talking about, I think the intent is to try to have in person. Um, and I think as a result, I think we are largely looking pretty central. So Augusta, Hallowell, Lewiston, etc.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm sure if I'm sure a case could be made for Orno. So
It is
I was gonna say
commencement
technically.
week that week. I'd love to host you all, but space maybe at a premium. Uh, but if there was great consensus to that, we would figure it out, certainly.
well, there will be more opportunities. So we'll do it when it's not the busiest year, the week of the year.
Mhm.
Cool. Well, thanks for letting me plant that seed, and we will circle back to. I appreciate the focus around intersection prioritization, especially in context of learning areas that we are going to be prioritizing any briefing or focus around. Cool. That's all I got.
Great.
Well, with that, Kendra Joe, what do you?
Yeah, no, that is the end of our agenda. Just from a logistics standpoint, Danielle, after you close, you and Hannah are free to leave. But if the team who needs to be on for the infrastructure call can remain on, Quinn will pause the recording and start it back up at 3 o'clock.
Great. Well, thank you so much, as always, to everyone. With that, we can formally close the Digital Opportunity Committee meeting. We'll see you really soon.
Thank
See
you
you
all.
soon.
Bye
Thank
all.
you both for making time. Okay. Quinn, I think we are pausing recording.
Yes, it is paused.
Oh,
It appears to say cloud recording is on.
Mm, It's showing paused on my end. Let me take a look.
I don't know that we need this time, but we can all go off video and everything and just come back on at
Sounds
2:58.
sounds good. Wow. Committee meeting ending 10 minutes early?
I like it.
That's the first time.
Easy, don't jinx us. We got one more of these.
I'll be
Go
back
grab
in a
some
few.
water. I'll be right back.
Thanks, everyone.
Hello there. Carlos, how's it going?
It's going fine. I assume it's time for us to get back together. It's a couple of minutes early, but can never tell.
You are assuming right. Um, we wrapped a little early, and I think folks were just coming back. And I know that I think Jim Carlson is not able to join today.
Who's not going to be able to join?
Jim Carlson.
Okay. So it'll be Carlos squared today. That's fine.
Carlos squared. And I don't think Mike Reed is able to attend, but I think he is. I think the chair has the choice of attending these committee meetings.
Yeah, he's ex officio on everything.
That's right.
That's sort of the way it goes.
Um, how is how's your March going?
It's going okay. Going okay. Um, yeah, getting there. Getting there.
Um, do
Hi,
you all
JD.
do you all did you have or recently, or is your big event upcoming? No, it was it's like November, right?
Yeah, it's usually the middle of November. Try to get it in before Thanksgiving.
I'm back.
And in our meeting is uh, different now than what it used to be. It's right now, it's really focused on showcasing um, companies and education and the like. So it's a different format.
Hmm.
So it's probably target this year, I think, is 75 exhibitors. And we're looking at different places that we could pull that off.
That's a lot.
Yeah, we did it the Westin last year. Probably that was too tight and because of the balcony overhang, so we're probably looking at, I'm not thrilled with any of the locations. The Thompson's Point has got a great location, but parking is impossible. And then you know the Ocean Gateway is a little too small. So we're thinking of alternatives.
Hmm.
We may end up at what could work, though I'm not thrilled because the property is just tired. It needs to be updated. Is the old DoubleTree in South Portland.
Yeah.
If you there's the ballroom and there's another 2,000 square feet next door to it, and then there's the foyer area, so you can do quite a bit there. But it's pain.
Never
So
easy
we're-
finding a venue. Um, I do want to I'm so impressed with our we had a guest Carlos in our digital opportunity meeting, and we finished up a few minutes early. So
Hey,
we might be able to continue that trend, and we should get started here. And I think we have Jim is not joining today. Mike is ex officio, so I think this might be the committee for now.
Does that mean I know we have one approval. Do we have,
with quorum.
yeah, we have quorum?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I would imagine. I can't imagine that we'd have to have
All three of us?
All three of us. Yeah,
That would seem a little crazy, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's get going. Do we have members of the public there hanging out? There.
There are team members who are sitting in, but it does not look like there are other members of the public.
Well, I should still start this formally for the record. So, but I guess the question is, do we need to do introductions? But anyway, so welcome to the St. Patrick's Day version of the infrastructure committee for the MCA. I'm your host, Carlos Bernovo, the chair of the committee and a member of the board. And we'll do, for the record, we'll just do quick introductions and get going on this. So, Carlos, I throw it
I'm
to you.
I'm Carlos Mello. I am the CEO over at the Finance Authority of Maine and a member of the board and the committee. JD, you want to go next?
Sure. John Doherty, JD, Director of Middle Mile for MCA. Kendra Jo.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Kendra Jo Grindle. I am the Chief Program Officer for MCA. Erin Fenton is here. She's going to remain off camera, but she is our Senior Manager for Grant Reporting and Compliance, and here to support on the EHP recommendation memo that comes later in the agenda. And I will hand it to Laura.
Thank you. I'm Laura Vanderlucht. I'm the Chief Engagement Officer for MCA, and I am in Hollowell. I think And
Andrew is last.
Andrew's last. All right, great.
Andrew Butcher, service president for MCA.
All right, with that, let's get started by approving or getting the minutes approved. So a motion to approve the last meeting's, there you go. Carlos just seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and the minutes are approved. So with that, Andrew, you want to give us the first part of the agenda items, the update on BEAD, et cetera, and then we will, as we talked about, we're going to try to spend about half the meeting on that and then leave at least half the meeting for MooseNet. That's kind of the objective here for today. So,
Yep.
and also we don't anticipate any executive session today, so everything should be in public. If someone at some point thinks we need to go into executive session for something sensitive, please make that known, but it doesn't seem to us that we need to do that today. So hoping it can be all public. Andrew, go ahead.
Thank you.
Not Andrew.
We'll hand to Kendra Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Kendra Joe.
No.
I am so happy. This is new. All right, everything goes to Kendra
okay.
Joe. That sounds about right. So okay, all right.
Ooh, tough. Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate being able to hop in this new role. So I will get us moving forward. So just for a BEAD status update for you all, we are currently in the contract process. So we have a draft contract that David Bresnahan has been working hand in hand with our legal counsel on. And has gotten that draft out to all of the provisional awardees for their review ahead of individual meetings kicking off next week. There is a potential that they kick off by the end of this week, but we are waiting on feedback and review from our federal program officer, Brooke Barron. We have a call scheduled with her tomorrow. Some of these things have been just happening in the last hour or two on our side of things. So Andrew or Aaron, if I missed anything, please let me know. But we have confirmed just a 30-minute feedback conversation with Brooke Barron, which will help us understand, where we have feedback and changes that we have from NTIA, where we are in alignment with NTIA based on guidance and also what they're seeing across other states. So that's really helpful. The goal of those one-on-one conversations is really to land in a solid place for contract execution over the month of, later into March, but over the month of April. So it is we're hoping for a smoother, but definitely faster timeline on contracts than we have seen in some of our other funded programs. Some of the areas, just for your awareness, that I think states, and including Maine, are grappling with to understand and also to really get right are things like match and the spin down of match, as well as hitting various milestones. So one of the things around B that you're going to see quite a bit of over the next couple of months is we'll have a lot of items coming to you around verification and validation. We have the environmental and historic preservation vendor recommendation for today, but a lot of moving parts to really make sure that we are adhering to guidance and keeping on the overall timeline as much as possible. Verification and validation will be a little bit different in approach than we have done in the past, where there are milestones that we will also be looking to verify along the way. And that lends to the match conversation as well. So just to give you just kind of where our head is right now as a team, it's really on that, as well as setting up conversations around the state roundtables, which are for permitting. And that will be a series of federal and state agency partners, as well as our provisional awardees, that it's really supposed to be a productive conversation to move us forward and ease barriers to permitting, with the recognition from a federal standpoint that permitting is an area that can greatly slow down infrastructure projects. And having the opportunity to mirror off of, or even adapt our already existing utility pole and data performance working group to accommodate. I think we're in a really good place from a BEAD perspective. Yeah, I'll pause there and just see if you have any questions.
How much the new approach to verification validations is just to match the BEAD program versus things we might have learned or we want to change?
Yeah, I think there's definitely room. So we are having an internal conversation right now about what our approach to procuring verification and validation will be for BEAD. If we will do a similar sub-vendor contract or take another approach, but there is a lot of learning that we've done through both that we have learned. We're also getting small pieces of feedback from the provisional awardees along the contracting process of, this approach that previously was taken may add additional time that we might not be able to accommodate under the BEAD timelines, or especially the milestone markers, having a mid-year site visit to understand the process or to update and understand where the projects are in adherence to our milestones and our tracking from a desktop analysis standpoint, I think is also going to be really critical. And I think part of it is why some of the BEAD process is different, is to really ensure along at every step we are tracking these fully instead of waiting till the end. The one other piece that I want to update you all on, I know we've previously discussed the Pioneer project no longer moving forward under the BEAD program. Just to give you a status update on those locations, we have followed up with the provider that bid and came in at second place for fiber on those locations, and are currently in negotiations to understand what they're able to do at what cost, and in line with the BEAD guidance. So once we have an update, that will obviously come up through the board for approval and ratification. But just wanted to give you kind of where we are currently in direct conversation and email exchanges to try to land on a potential solution for those locations.
Since you're talking in generalities, I don't want to make us go into executive session to talk about specific vendors. Is it consistent with what's in the minutes as to the solution that you were thinking on Pioneer?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, any other questions on BEAD, or Andrew, anything that you feel like I missed that Carlos would benefit from understanding? You're on mute.
I think you covered it pretty well. I guess I would just reinforce, and I don't think it's a surprise to you all, but it's worthwhile repeating, in that every step of the process and implementation with BEAD continues to be beastly. And so the contracting, we are hopeful that folks are primed and ready to move forward. But keep in mind, we are having to adapt a prior practice of reimbursement to really sort of what is a hybrid fixed amount subaward structure, requiring both milestone spending and match tracking. It's complicated and burdensome for us. It's complicated and burdensome for subgrantees. And, after a couple days in DC with the State Broadband Leaders Network, can affirm that, states across the board are having to reconcile with that structure. Some have figured it out, but continue to get changing guidance from NTIA and challenges with subgrantees. So we are navigating that with the intent of getting these projects contracted so that NEPA activity can start as quick as possible.
We appreciate you continuing to go through the swamp with the machete waving. So, but that's a good segue into addressing this contract for for
Whoa.
historic and environmental review. So
Somebody came to play today. All right.
oh yeah, no, yeah. So I think, I mean, I'd like to discuss that, see if we can approve that, and then I'm more interested in spending time on the next agenda item around the CPF funds. So, yep.
Sure. So we share this ahead of time, but hopefully you both have reviewed the recommendation memo.
Mhm.
Just to give you a quick overview, we went through an RFP process internally to select an environmental and historic preservation vendor or compliance consulting services. We had 5 very competitive responses, and we had a team of 4 that did a blind review to land on this recommendation. We have selected for recommendation the vendor WSP. Their proposed contract cost comes in under our budget that is allocated in the BEAD FIPFR. So just to give you a brief summary, the way that we landed on this was, their experience, and not only in Maine with some of our state agency partners around environmental, was top notch. They are based in and around Maine and the New England region. They have broadband experience outside of Maine, but the most critical piece here was the environmental and historic preservation. There is guidance. There are pieces we know. There are still lots of areas that we don't know, and having this level of expertise is going to be really critical for our team to move forward and help to support our subawardees through that permitting process. They were very clear about timeline, cost, and left some wiggle room, as things come up, if we need to adapt on the fly to changing and updating guidance. Again, it was a solid process, and really appreciated the responses, national responses from partners we've worked with, we haven't worked with, we've heard good things about, and this one, just above and beyond for all 4 involved, came in at the top for us.
You need us to ratify it?
Yep.
Yeah, so based on your review, we are recommending this for your approval and ratification.
So moved.
All right. All right. All in favor? Well, any discussion? No. All in favor?
Okay.
That is
Love to see
ratified.
it.
Yep.
That is really helpful. So next step for us is that we will notify all of those that responded and move forward into contracting and vendor procurement for WSP as our environmental and historic preservation vendor under BEAD. And then hopefully the next time we talk about it, we'll have an update for you on timeline for rolling out that permitting process with our sub awardees. And this is probably not the last time we'll come to you with an RFP recommendation for BEAD. So
Right.
thank you all for that smooth process and reviewing ahead of time. I will keep moving forward. The next thing to be pretty simple, as you might already know, BEAD non-deployment guidance we had anticipated getting last week. We did not receive guidance. Ariel Roth from NTA put out a press statement that, based on lots of moving parts, a great amount of feedback from partners, we of which were one, to take the time to submit both written and verbal feedback on potential guidance for non-deployment, that they were taking additional time to be able to accommodate that and meet their goals of the program. So hopefully the next time we meet, we'll have more of an update. But for now, unfortunately, we don't have any. We are continuing to move forward with our work that has been funded by NBRC around wireless and mobile connectivity. One of the pieces that would roll up potentially into non-deployment funding around wireless connectivity. And so from a team standpoint, this delay doesn't impact us directly from our day-to-day, but we are hoping for guidance within the next month or two, so that we can move forward, because it's going to be a big investment in the state of Maine, and definitely something that's needed for us as we look at our strategic planning moving ahead.
On wireless, and let's not, but I don't, I'm losing track of which conversation is which, but I think it was executive committee. I'm not sure, but just for Carlos's sake, I think just that the challenges around wireless are different. And
Yes.
I think so I just want to reiterate that educating the board on wireless, the challenges, the differences, I just keep that on the
Yeah.
radar screen because I don't think we're going to be able to help as much. I think we need a little grounding in that. So I brought that up, I think, and I just want to bring it up again. That's all. I don't
Yeah.
want to belabor it. I just want to make sure that I remind that I think that's still important. So because we're going to probably make an investment shift to support that. So
Yeah. And as we, right now, from a Thailand perspective, I don't know that we are even as a team in a place to give you that up, to bring you along on that update, but looking ahead to the next infrastructure committee meeting in April, or the May in person, I think there's a potential for definitely bringing you up to speed based on the information and data that we're receiving through that work.
This is fixed wireless, or are we talking LEO?
we're talking cell.
And
We're talking
we're
cell,
talking
so it's fixed
all,
wireless.
yeah,
It
all
is fixed wireless. Okay.
Yeah.
And all the inherent challenges fixed wireless has in a vegetated, undulating state like Maine. Okay, got it.
So I will add where there will potentially also be mobile connectivity via satellite in the future as well. So based on the data that we receive, we are considering all options for solution, but not able to commit to anything at the moment.
Okay,
So we do need a grounding.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
This is all the work that we've done on
Yes.
cell coverage in the state.
Yeah.
Problems
Yeah.
with holes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all this and then.
Okay, thank you. I was still thinking bead, and then all of a sudden,
No, I shifted.
back
I know.
to another place. Okay,
exactly.
that's
We
good.
totally shifted off bead. We're like in a whole different world now.
It's okay. It's okay.
I know. It's actually good.
I gotta learn to watch the signals. You know, when you signal for a lane change, I gotta follow.
All right. Well, I think we're about to do another lane change in a second.
We are about to do another lane change. I do want to check, Andrew, if there's anything that you wanted to add, although maybe in the future we'll just stick to BEAD and non-deployment, because it is challenging when BEAD non-deployment is also under the BEAD funding program. But yeah. we'll get a guide, little handy handbook for you.
That's okay.
We have started an internal pool as to when we think non-deployment guidance could drop, and it will. I think it is likely it will involve a couple months of following up and outlining our plans and overall approach. It seems what is clear is that there is no clear consensus about it. And there have been recommendations made, but they seem to stall out with Department of Commerce leadership. And so just useful, I think it will inevitably be a important backdrop through our planning and engagement process. And I think we will be hopeful that we're able to align, the outcomes of that planning and engagement process with the structure and uses of non-deployment.
Got it. I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, thank you, Carlos, for saying what I usually say.
I'm not holding my breath. But that's okay.
Well, I mean,
let's keep going.
Yeah. So we are going to shift gears away from BEAD funding, if there are no more questions, into capital projects funding. And so this is an update on the Reach Me amendment process that we've been discussing over the last few infrastructure committee meetings and board meetings. As you both are aware, we brought forward Reach Me amendments, previously 4 of them, 3 that were confirmed and moved to contract. We have been able to get clarification and confirmation from Treasury on those contracts and the locations. We provided additional information based on questions that they had over the last month. And so those first 3 contracts that were fiber to the premise, all good to go. The final contract that was conditional by the board, we had, again, additional follow-up from Treasury pertaining to the locations, the technology. I want to clarify that we are seeing a level of scrutiny on amendments and process and reporting as well from Treasury that we have not seen in the past, which is resulting in a lot of back and forth with our federal program officer and curing. But as you can see in the agenda, the Treasury has advised us that they would not approve the charter amendment as it stands. They did give some additional reasoning and understanding, or we've asked for additional reasoning and understanding, but we have notified charter of this response from Treasury. We had paused on executing that contract based on their questions to date. So from a just an administrative standpoint, that amendment was not executed fully. And so we are not moving forward on the charter amendment as presented to you all.
So what is the fallback for this, for these folks? Or this amendment, the coverage area that this amendment was going to address?
So the locations, the majority of locations in this amendment were addressing existing charter customers at a service from a federal standard that was served above 100/20, but from a Maine perspective as underserved, right? So that middle ground for us, they don't quite reach the 100/100 threshold. So those customers remain charter customers, and under BEAD programming, they would be considered served. So there's not a pathway there. It is an area as well as all existing locations that are in our underserved category that we will continue to try to address via other funds or private investment and support. So we don't have given this response from Treasury, we don't have a direct pathway via CPF funds or BEAD funds. But we know that the underserved residents in Maine still are a priority for MCA.
So how much do we have in funds that we have to find a home for before October? Did I get the right date?
Yeah, so
Here it comes.
Am I good? So I can speak to this. So for CPF, so Capital Projects Funds has 2 buckets. The 1A is this infrastructure projects, 1C is connectivity hubs. And we have not put forward anything under the 1B pathway and will continue to not do so. So those are really our 2 options. We are preparing a remaining fund distribution plan for Treasury to review, or for you all to review. We are going into a monthly call tomorrow with our federal program officer on some of our options, but there is at the encouragement of Treasury, the potential to reallocate the funds from about $6 million worth of funding from 1A to the 1C programming and utilize those remaining CPF funds under the Connectivity Hub's purview. By investing in larger scopes of work for existing subrecipients, investing in eligible items to enhance existing infrastructure. So things that maybe come in at a lower cost, like technology investments and improvements, soundproofing for telehubs, and some other areas. We've created a full list that's for Treasury to approve that we can hand to them, as well as, and some of these questions are outstanding for Treasury to review, but as well as going to other partners who have not been recipients to date and identifying opportunities that can fit both within the 2026 timeframe and the guidance from Treasury around connectivity hubs. They have left this door open for us and provided some examples of both existing infrastructure that they would be interested in reviewing and other states that have taken a similar approach over the past 6 months.
It's 6 million now?
Yes, the current rough recommendation of moving from 1A. That would leave a small bit of funding within 1A for any budget amendments that we would need to make.
Mike.
Yeah, I don't. What we're currently thinking is we don't want to drain it to zero in case there is a need. We do have some open projects still that are wrapping up
Right.
this year. So creating a kind of a safe buffer there, but moving roughly $6 million from 1A to 1C, and then allowing our team to be able to move forward to put forward recommendations for spin down.
But to be clear, this is the money that came back from this amendment, and it's the money that's coming back because projects came in under budget.
Yes.
And that ended up being $6 million
In total, yes.
that we got to spend in 6 months.
Yes.
Okay. I'm framing the problem. I'm not,
Yeah,
or opportunity. I mean, it's, that's all. We stand ready to review whatever when you guys are ready, so we can keep the timing. We've said it before, but
Yeah.
the reality is the timing is so tight on this. So if you need, if our timing on meetings doesn't meet the need, just call the question so we can respond and see if we can get this 6 million actually working for Maine. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. I think pending input from Treasury, and excuse me, the approval of the transfer to 1C. I think over the course of the next week, we will be working on a distribution plan to share, to get feedback. I think one of the things that I'm very appreciative of the connectivity hubs team in already doing and understanding what are existing connectivity hubs that have capital absorption needs and potential. So I do think that there's a slug. It sounds like there's a slug of them that will be able to utilize those funds for activities already in that portfolio, which then means that we will be looking at maximizing the remaining funds. This was in part of the challenge that we walked through this fall. And the distribution plan that we mapped out at that time was reflective of the funding that we were confirmed with, given spending and returned funds. And so I think we will also continue to work with Treasury in towards some form of project-based extension to be able to enable any kind of breathing room for project completion.
all right.
All right, let's keep going.
Yep.
We are about on time, so I am going to transition us to MooseNet and hand it over to JD.
Thank you, Kendra Jo.
Kendra Jo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So as you have talked in the past, all of these agenda items are intertwined, so I will try to take them in order, but they bounce. So the construction activity, obviously we talked about the status report and the progress dashboard last time, kind of a review for you guys. There are a couple of risks that I just want to pull out. And that's where it gets tied into the others. Obviously, our route approval is still sitting out there, and I'll talk about that in a second. But that, we in sequence, we need the route approval ties into the updated budget that we're going to send them. So that is sitting out there. I just want to let you know that.
Yep.
And we heard feedback from our contractors, Surtex and Corning, fiber manufacturers. The pricing is going up in the industry, and there is longer lead times to get the fiber. Now, we have worked with them, and I should say, actually, Surtex did a really good job with Corning, and held our price and our amount. We just need to give them the absolute go-ahead by May 1st. So that gives us a little bit of time, which ties into the route approval. But they also had pre-ordered, I shouldn't say pre-ordered, the early order was 130 miles of fiber, so that's coming in next month. So there'll be plenty to do, plenty to keep them busy. So we're in good shape there. That's the other piece that's really kicked off in the last literally week, I will say, is a lot of applications that have gone in. And so we're starting to understand from the pole owners what it's going to look like for one touch make ready and complex. So that'll help us understand our estimate on make ready here in the next few months as well. So any questions on the construction update?
Just feels like 2021 again. It's like, prices are,
Yes.
we had this conversation then about, trying to pre-buy. It sounds like you've pre-bought enough fiber though, that at least we're gonna be able to get construction going. So what happens if you don't get the route approval by May 1st? I mean, what is our option? Because it sounds like they need an order by then, and you're basing it on.
We would have this first 130 miles gets us a little, we've got a lot of approval already built into that. So it would be the additional kind of Augusta to Portland stuff that we'd have to understand what that would look like.
So if we don't get the approval by May 1st, so you can't make the commitment, that means that fiber will come late or possibly extend the timeline. And
correct.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand the problem. You're waiting on NTIA. There's not a ton of you can do about that, but so that would have an impact on the project.
It could
from a timing perspective. Okay. All right.
And with that said, as the route approval, which, our FPO, Elaine, and I speak quite frequently on a variety of topics, this being one of them. And I have another call with her at 4 o'clock today. We had not heard as of late last Friday was the last conversation with them. And, what they're looking at, is where Three Binder was before down to the Portland area. And, does this duplicate in any way? And do we need to change the route if that's the case? But she continues to answer their questions and ask us questions. So we will land in a good spot eventually. It's just a matter of timing.
Right. And making sure the timing doesn't affect the project in a negative way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I know I'd sent you a note last Tuesday. We did post Garify. So that is out there. We had an informational session Monday morning just to see who would show up.
Do you have a sense as to how many folks are interested?
I don't know that I have a sense. I think what we're going to see, what we got a sense of from that call and a couple of conversations that I've had subsequent to that informational call is there's probably going to be a limited, hey, we're the one person for it, and we've got the team for it. And there'll be some more of, I'm operational, I'm sales. How do we marry ourselves together?
Okay.
Because we're looking kind of for that one
vendor
to handle it. So we did.
And you're saying that universe is skinny, but there may be more choices if you bifurcate it into its component parts.
Yep.
And then try to pull it together. Okay.
Yeah, which is not our ultimate goal, is to have the one right from the start. We'll
right, but the market may demand us to change our mind on things.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And understanding that, part of what we're trying to get out of this RFI is, okay, is this operations, operations maintenance commercialization, or is it JV? Right? Is there, can we pull out of this RFI and conversations with folks to say, okay, is there a real opportunity with one or the other, or one completely gets ruled out? When I'll say in this case, JV gets ruled out, that there really just isn't an appetite for that in the market.
Could very well be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that is, and tried to make it clear in the RFI and as well as an informational session that, that we put term sheets in there, and those are a starting point, right? It's a conversation starter. What do we really want to talk about? What's going to make sense?
Okay.
So that's where we're headed with that. Those will know more obviously after the April 10th submission deadline.
So I had someone whisper in my ear a fear regarding this project. And I'm not going to go into whom and which provider it would be, but the public providers that have invested already in their infrastructure are concerned that we build this out, it fails, and it gets bought by somebody for a very cheap cost. And that basically puts the others at a disadvantage because they've incurred all the capital costs to build their closed systems. I mean, this is dark open fiber, and now it gets bought by someone and it becomes closed fiber instead of being open to all because it is on the market for sale. Do we feel that we have enough guardrails and safety features and done enough work to assure that that doesn't happen? We don't end up being another one of the many or some examples that are shown in the in the press as failed state managed projects. So I just wanted to share that had been whispered in my ear, and I figured that I owed you, the feedback. You probably, Carlos, you're smiling behind your hand, so you probably have heard the same thing.
I think it's something that we're going to continue to discuss as we move forward on the financing and the revenue model. And I think that is not the state we're looking for.
Yeah.
Right.
And the only reason
it's not the end state. That's what we're trying to avoid. Yep.
And the only reason why I say all of that is that not in broadband, but in other industries across the state, we've seen so many failures over the past short months because of a lack of financing being available. The post-COVID, these project kind of financings have dried up, and the private sector is not stepping in to fund them in lots of ways. Now, this is an infrastructure project very much tied into AI. We may find that that is a different answer, but in other fields, in other industries, we're just seeing a dearth of available capital should we stumble. So we've got to get it right the first time with what we have.
Yeah, I think I agree. And I think part of the obviously the RFI, RFP process that we'll go through. And one other quick thing, Andrew, sorry. What we have also worked with on NTIA as we go through a kind of our route change is that, there's the three-ring binder that's out there, right? Even though it was bought privately, still has to follow the NTIA guidelines. So that's still an open access network, and ours will be the same way, right? To that period performance, 20 years, whatever that may be. That has to stay in play. That is a requirement.
Okay.
Andrew, sorry.
No, I that was the that comment was going to be the one key factor I wanted to emphasize. And, we've had to talk several times with NTIA regarding, some at NTIA have the perception that the statutory period of performance is still in play for the three-ring binder. That doesn't seem to be the case given multiple events and ownership turnover for the three-ring binder and beyond that of the original partners and the term of their contracts. All that to say, we will be subject to the open access requirements through the federal grant for the foreseeable future. That's one guardrail, but Carlos, I think the bigger opportunity here is I would love to have some of those I would love to have a conversation with some of those projects that have been either challenged from a financing standpoint and have faltered in the public objectives for the public-private partnership. So where we can learn from any other sector or project type, I would really welcome that.
Yeah, I'm not certain I've got a lot of great public-private examples that it's been primarily private financing and private industry where I'm using examples. So ours being a different one, being a public-private partnership is a nuanced difference, an important nuance difference, but it's just a very difficult time. I'm concerned about, and it's a difficult time for the state. So, substantial funding from the state in the future and their different administration, different needs. And just saying, it's not an easy time. So, and so I think it's incumbent upon us to do the best we can in the upfront planning, because where I've seen a lot of these projects fail is that they haven't planned for sufficient contingencies, and then they've needed additional funding mid-execution, and that mid-execution has fallen down on them.
Because there's no private capital available in mid-execution. It's dried up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yeah.
And so unfortunately they're ending up going, through liquidation, which is not a desired outcome. And
that is why it's incumbent on us to do everything we can to secure, like main bond funding, some of the work Andrew's been engaged in, whatever, but doing all that up front and not relying on, yeah.
It's a difficult time. And so
that can get better. So for
not in the near term.
No, not in the near term. So
it's going to take time to work through the system. We go through these cycles all the time. It's just we've gone from a period of substantial liquidity to one in which there's limited to no liquidity, but for certain sectors of the economy, which are just sucking in a lot of investment, and it's getting consolidated, and it's just difficult. There's just not a lot of money available for private, even though there's significant wealth to be put to work for whatever reason. It's not manifesting it in main companies. Let's just put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Andrew and I, Kendra, Joe, David, who I don't know, was David going to join? Andrew,
he's hanging out, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think he's listening.
Yes, I agree that upfront planning and outreach to what are those financial partners and
All right. What else do we want to cover on
was bond financing on the agenda, or is it all, I can't remember the agenda now. I didn't put it in front of me. Just an update on that, because that's part of this process, right?
Correct. And I think we gave an update of our meeting at the last.
Probably.
IC meeting, I believe. So we met with Terry and her team, and
Okay.
a few takeaways from that. One of the big ones was they wanted to see our audited financials and whatnot, and David has followed up with that.
Okay.
So they have that in front of them. I also highly recommended the bond council. And so as of an hour ago, 2 hours ago, we put an RFP out for bond council.
Okay.
So that has hit the street today.
Good.
And it is,
Yeah,
I just put the link in the chat.
I just think to Carlos's point, the going through the process of, bonding and getting our financials in place and the project plan, everything that's really good discipline. And we'll learn a lot through that process. So I'm glad to see we're on track.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I believe the other, so yes, any more questions on the bond or any input, Andrew, from you? I know we're,
No, I think I think we anticipate this type of procurement being we'll need your attention and awareness, and we'll be looking to potentially move forward with it for a email vote, depending upon the timing of responses.
the other was the amended construction budget. So finance team and David have been doing a lot of work on the updating the construction budget in both. So this, I'll call it the construction budget, right, which is the immediate what we're dealing with, right, and then the projection, the pro forma type of thing of where that's going to look in the future years, right, which comes back to the investment, right, where we're gonna be with that. But the construction update, we finalized it last week, and we're ready. I'll say to put that in front of NTIA. Again, they can't officially put it in NTIA until the route approval comes in because it's all based on the size of the route approval. So we need that. But what we are able to do with our FPO is we sent them a red line draft last week. So herself and the grants supporting Tiffany also can look at it as a red line and say, okay, here's the curing that we would do when it comes in. So let's fix it up ahead of time. So that went to them last Friday. And so we're looking to work with them. I actually have a call, I think I said it earlier, with Elaine this afternoon and start talking about those things, and also to see how if there's any more input we can give when it comes to the route approval itself.
Good.
But those are they're in good shape as we sit here today. How's that?
Excellent.
And the comment was just reaffirming it's the program officer, and you said Tiffany, who's NIST. So just
The grants
right.
office, yeah. Sorry.
Just clarify.
There's more hurdles.
Yep.
The good news
They
is
keep
I
they
came
keep
in
putting them on the
late.
track too. So
Yeah,
it's
the
like
good news is I came in late to all this, so I watched people like Andrew and Kendra Joe jump the hurdles first, and then I can just follow.
Super smooth sailing.
This is so much fun.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Well, at least they've got, poll applications in, Carlos. So things are happening. Things are happening. There'll be wire on polls someday. So yeah, things are
I
going.
was excited to see that. And that that's good stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And did we talk about this already, Andrew? But our NTIA representative has talked about coming up later this year, and then we'll call it probably the September timeframe. So we'll probably do a little bit of a meet and greet with them, and so certainly open for. I want to make sure that the infrastructure committee is aware of that.
It'll be glad to do it. I wish it could be done earlier so we could be in front of some of these things that we're concerned about, but that's okay. I mean, it's about relationship building when you do it when you can.
Yeah.
Well, September in Maine. I mean,
Oh no.
I wonder why they're going to come visit. It's
not so bad.
Exactly.
It's my favorite month.
And it is. Yep, it is.
But to your point, you reminded me when you said construction, right? So we should have that. We'll have some fiber huts, either in place or close to being in place, and those types of things. So yeah, good stories for them to talk about.
Yep.
Good.
All right. What else do we need to cover?
That was it for MooseNet.
Okay. I mean, I think the next meeting will be after the RFI, right? So we'll have quite a bit to talk about, and also we'll be looking probably a recommendation on the capital projects. So we can take our 5 minutes back because the next one's probably going to be long. So
We might,
that's
it's a
my
good point. We should
suspicion.
look at that and see if we need a little bit more time, potentially.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But
And when it comes to financing, we may need some executive sessions because there may be other outreaches going on there as well.
So Andrew, it works better for the team to do committees sequentially like that in the same day rather than to do them in different days. I would be so smoked by the end of the last committee meeting that I wouldn't be able to think straight.
Well, immediately after this meeting, we have a conversation to debrief this new style and approach. So
there you
we'll,
go.
Okay, you heard from the old guy. He would get tired. Let's just put it that way.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
2 hours
it's
is
entirely
just
possible.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
we'll
2 hours isn't bad, but you
And it
start.
could be 2.5. I mean, if some of the committees like we're talking about this one,
Yeah,
this is actually a relatively short infrastructure committee meeting.
right.
So
You start adding them up. It could, you might be in the saddle for a long time. All right.
all right.
thanks, folks.
All right, with that, thank you again, team. Appreciate it. We
You're
will
welcome.
see
Very
you
much so.
soon.
Thank you.
So take care.
Be well.
All right.
Thanks all.
All right.
Thanks all.
Bye.
I know.
Bye-bye.